Now, currently I do have two FTDs. Okay, on the diagram I can see only one. I do have two FTDs, but here you can see that I have given the FTD in both of them. So FTD1 and FTD2. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to integrate these two FTDs with my now FMC, high availability pair. So let's go ahead and do the integration. So for that one, I have to access the FTDs now. So I'll go back to this one. Access the CLI of my FTD1. Now I have to say that configure manager add. Who is my manager? I can give the DNS name or I can give the IP address.
That was FMC1.
Yeah, FMC1.cisco.com. But you have to make sure that the FTD is able to resolve that one. So to check that one,
let's use the IP address.
Okay, again, to check that one, you can do the same thing, expert. Yeah. Again, you will be taken to the Linux CLI. Again, sudo pin fmc1.disable.com. See that I'm able to resolve. That means I can use the DNS name. Now configure manager add fmc1.disable.com and give the name like registration key. Cisco 123. Now always give the registration key with the uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and numbers, and click on enter. So once you click on enter, it will give you an notification saying that please note down this registration key because you are not able to see again. Until that happens, I will go back to my FMC now. I will go to my device management. So this is where I'm going to add my FTDs now. See that currently I don't have anything. You see that? Please make note of this registration key as this will be required while adding the device in FMC. So this one is done. Let's do the FTD2 also. I will do the same things. First, make sure that the DNS name is being reachable. So I will go to export again. Be able to ping. Click on exit. Now configure manager add fmc1.disable.com with Cisco 0123 and enter. So it will again give you the same warning. So let's go ahead. Now I do have two FTDs over here. So what I can do is that I can directly add that FTD once and FTD2 to over here. Or I do have an option to create an folder like a group. So these are the FTDs groups. And within this group, I'm going to again define FTD1 and FTD2.
So right now, the FTD1 and 2 are deploying active passive mode, right?
No. When you integrate now, both of them are individual devices.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, both are individual devices. Until and unless we configure the high availability, both will act as an individual device.
Please give me 1 sec, please.
Yep. So it was whenever you add the FTDs to the FMCs, they both will be individual. That means if they are placed in a different places within your branch, you can go ahead and implement different policies, different IP addresses on both of them from the FMC.
So like we were saying, right? If you have two FTD
yep.
currently deploying active passive,
by default it will not deploy in an active passive voice. No. By default they will be deployed as an individual firewalls. You will configure them as an active passive later on.
Oh, I don't understand. Hold on, please. Let's say the two FTD you currently have today,
yep,
are in active passive mode,
yes,
initial mode.
Yes.
And you want to bring them to FMC. Does
Yeah.
FMC tear down the HA
Okay.
configuration,
So
or
you
you
are
have
saying
to
that,
tear down the HA configuration?
okay, you are saying that already the FTDs are on the FTD1 and FTD2 are both are participating in the active standby, right? Already.
Yes,
And you're
before
saying
you
that whenever you integrate with the FMC, what is going to happen?
yes,
Yes, it will break that one.
it will break the
Yes.
HA configuration. It will wipe
Yes.
it away.
Yep. Why it will wipe it away? Because it will not wipe it away all the configuration, but if it is an FTD or ASA with firepower, it will integrate. It will get the details of the interfaces and all those things, but it will wipe out the policies. It will wipe out the NAT. All the configuration it will wipe out, not the interfaces. I don't think so. Interfaces will be wiped out. But what you can do is that in order to maintain this one, before you integrate with the FMC, you will export that configuration, whatever the policies are, whatever the NAT configuration, export that one and import into this FMC first. So once you import that policies and NAT configuration, everything in the FMC, then what you can do is that whenever you are adding the FTDs now, you can apply those policies and that configuration to this particular FTD1 and FTD2. But still there will be no high availability. Except the high availability, all the details will be synchronized and you can configure that one manually again, the high availability later on. But when you are trying to integrate with a new FMC, the older FTDs, then yes, it will remove all the configuration.
So how do you configure you have to configure your high availability from the FMC?
Yes, from the FMC again.
Okay. All right.
Right, so let's move forward now. I will go ahead and add. So what I will do is that I will create a folder so that because my both the FTDs, for example, FTD1 and FTD2 are located on the same branch. It can be a data center in two different places within the same data center, but they are participating in the high availability, whatever it might be the configuration. Now, I do have another branch that is my branch one, which have the FTD branch. This is another FTD. Again, I do have another headquarters, which have three FTDs here. FTD1, FTD2, FTD3. Now, when I have these many FTDs, now it is pretty important that I make myself like pretty much understandable so that organized. Otherwise, it will be a problem for you to understand which firewall belongs to which branch or data center. So what you can do, you can just create a data center, say that FTD1 belongs to this one, FTD2 belongs to particular FTD belongs to that one, then create an high headquarters folders, and within that one you define your FTDs. Now define the branch one folder, then define the FTDs. So in this way, what happens is like you do have a three folders which says that data center, headquarters, and branch one. And if you want to deploy a policy, you can click on this folder. You will find the FTDs, select the FTDs, and push the policies accordingly. So be organized yourself whenever you have dealing with the multiple FTDs. So currently what I will do, I will just add a group first because I am dealing with the two of them. Click on, sorry, cancel, click on group. And I'm giving a name as the FTD HA group because I'm going to configure the high availability. Currently, I don't have any device, so that's why it is not showing any device. So click on OK. It's an empty folder now. So now once that group has been created, I will go ahead and I will integrate my FTD1 now. So click on add, go to device. Again, I'm going to use the DNS names again, FTD1, disable.com. Display name will be FTD1, and the registration key will be Cisco 123. Now, this is where you have to be careful because if it was a 6.6 version or 6.5 version, you are able to see that key, but here you are not able to see that key. Now, group, again, I have created the group already, so click on it. Now, access control policy. So by default, you have to deploy a policy stating that you don't allow any traffic. So click on new policy. So definitely you have to deploy a policy by default. So I am saying that block policy or maybe HA policy, because I have given, if you see that my folder name is HA, my FTD1, everything are going into the HA. So that's why I'm giving the HA. Now, currently the action is default action. I want to block all the traffic. Intrusion prevention, network discovery, don't select that one because this is a firewall. You have to block the traffic. Later on, you will allow the traffic slowly. Always select the block the traffic. So it's like an access list you're sending to your firewall, block all the traffic. Now, once that has been done, you see that you do have a malware license, threat license, and URL license. If you remember, I am running in the evaluation mode. So that's why these three licenses are available, but I do not have any license with respect to AnyConnect. So that's why it is not showing up with the AnyConnect. So click on three licenses. I want to apply three of them because I'm going to use the intrusion policies, malware policies, and every policies. So I'm applying three of them. Now this is a new option, performance tier. So depending upon your, if it's a virtual FTDs, this is what options you will select. But if it's like physical devices, you don't have any options. Don't worry about the performance style. It's only with respect to the virtual devices that I'm exactly not sure what it's going to do, but you're just giving an information saying that, okay, FMC, this FTD is a virtual one and this is belongs to the tier of this one, FTD5 or something. Currently, I'm not selecting that one, anything. Okay. So host name, display name, and the registration key, group, and the access policy, which is by default what is saying block all the traffic, and I'm applying the licenses to it and click on register. No more changes, that's all. So now again it will take another 2 to 3 minutes to show up, and to complete the whole process it will take 10 minutes, and we will see that there are different tasks which will be configured onto the FTDs while onboarding onto the FMC. So just give 2 minutes and it will show up over here. Okay, yes, FTD, I have discovered that one. You see that on the right hand side, registration started because it has already got the FTD1, and the registration key matches at this point. So that's why it will start onboarding the FTD1. Now, if you remember that we have already configured the FMC high availability, right? So we looked into the active one. We did not look into the standby one. So this is the standby one, FMC2. So I will just log out from here and log back in. Aha. Because I want to show you that on the FMC2, you are not able to see all the options like overview, analysis, policies, and all those things. You are not able to see those options. And now you see that still it is loading over here. So if I go to my task and you see that the registration process has been started, so it will take time to complete. So until then, what I will go ahead and add the other device, that is my FTD2. Again, FTD2 dot. Display name will be FTD2, registration key will be 123, and the same thing, group will be the same, access policy will be the same, and the licenses will be the same. Click on register. Right, so you have to wait until all the process have been complete, and it will show you a green tick mark near the FTD. Now, another thing you have to understand with respect to the FTDs now. If you remember in the normal ASA, what you are able to do now, you are able to create the zones, right? This is the outside zone and this is the inside zone, correct? And whenever you say that it's an outside zone, the security level will be 0. And whenever you say that it's inside, it will be 100. If I say DMZ, again it will be 0, but you have an option to configure as 50. That was the concept with respect to the ASA, right? But with the FTD, it's entirely different now. It doesn't matter what zones you are in. It's an inside zone or outside zone or DMZ zone. It doesn't matter. What did we said on the policy that block all traffic? That's it. There is no security level. There is nothing over here. It's only that it's inside, outside, and DMZ zones, whatever zones you want to create. But by default, we are saying that block all traffic. That means any traffic cannot be communicated. But in the ASA, if you remember, any traffic which is coming from the higher security level can communicate with the lower security level. But in FTD, you don't have any of those concepts. All right, no communication at all. You said block all traffic, that means block all traffic irrespective of the zone. Good with that? That's the difference between the ASA and the FTDs again with respect to the zones. Okay, so just cancel this one and I will access the new one. All right, so we'll go to the notification and you see that there are the different tasks running now. It's creating some tenants, it's creating community, doing the registration, communication with the FTD one has been established, discovery in progress. Now it is going to discover what kind of version it is running, what kind of device it is, it's in the routed mode, transparent mode. So discovery is in progress.
What's different from routed mode and transparent mode?
Transparent mode is like a bump in a wire. So whenever they say
routed mode is,
routed mode is like you have to provide the IP addresses, interfaces, and everything. But the transparent mode is like a bump in a wire. Yeah, we do have that lab too. Yep.
So for the IPS, right?
Yep, IPS.
The IPS, once you integrate the IPS with FMC,
yep,
you won't be able to access the IPS from command line no more. Is that true?
Yeah, you're managing with the, you can, sorry, you can configure with the CLI also, but that is not recommended.
Okay.
Because you said that whenever, just 1 second. All right, so if you remember that whenever we install the FTD, you got an option while installing that would you like to manage this device as locally or via FMC. We said that we are going to manage via FMC. So that's why you have to configure all the interfaces and everything with respect to the FMC itself. You're just configuring everything on the FMC and pushing to that one.
So once you choose to manage the device from FMC,
yes,
you won't be able to access the command line of that device.
You are able to access the command line, but you are not able to get all the previous, like not everything can be configured from the command line. It is good for troubleshooting. If you want to check for the troubleshooting, show commands and everything, yes, you can do that one. Or if you want to change some IP address like management IP address, yes, you can do with the CLI. They can limited access.
This thing in my environment.
But in this environment, I don't require the CLI in first place because whatever I'm going to do, everything will be done on the FMC. And FTD is going to send all the information to the FMC, so I do not even require to access the CLI in first place.
Yeah, the IPS in my environment,
yep,
I cannot access through the command line.
Yeah.
And the guy there was telling me that it's because they manage it from FMC. That's why he said.
Now you cannot see. Not I said that it's a limited access to the CLI. You can configure certain things, but it's limited. Not everything can be done. For example, if you take the policies, you cannot configure the policies on the CLI. Whatever you have to do in the FMC and push it from the FMC. But with respect to the interfaces show command, still you cannot configure from the CLI IPS because those are inline. So you have to say it from the FMCs are saying that those interfaces are inline. You are pushing the configuration from the FMC. But CLI is totally is for troubleshooting. All right. So now, whenever you are, my FTDs are now in the routed mode. So now in the routed modes, two ways I can use my interfaces. One interfaces can be like the routed interfaces. Another interfaces can be in a bump in a wire, that is inline interfaces. I can use my FTDs in a both ways now. Now, for example, I do have this FTD. This is outside, inside, and this is outside. But I do have a dedicated link where I do have a router. I'm running a VPN over here, and over here this is the layer 2 connectivity. Over here there is another router with layer 2 connectivity, and I am having another router. Now I have made a configuration in such a way that this router should be using the VPN. It should communicate with this router. For example, I am configuring the EIGR. Now there is in between, there is my FTD. Now FTD is blocking the traffic because by default it is going to block. Now I want to make sure these two interfaces are not routed mode, because if it is a routed mode, then it will become a different scenario. But if it is an inline mode, these two routers are like will behave in such a way that they are connected directly.
Layer 2, yeah.
It's a little complicated one, but a high level scenario where you will be experiencing like configuring these things. Now, understanding what thing is that my router, this router is in a different branch, this router is in a different branch. But via internet, you have configured the VPN between both of those routers, and you have configured you have done the configuration in such a way that it is router 1 and router 2 should be communicating with each other like a layer 2, L2. That means router 1 and router 2 are seeing each other in a way that they are connected directly. But here I have done the configuration, the traffic is being forwarded, and when the traffic reaches to the FTD, this is where the problem arises, because I don't have any interfaces which is saying that it is a routed mode or inline. But I need to provide a layer 2 connectivity using my FTD, so that's where you will use the inline. So inline means you can, like a bump in a wire, or layer 2, you can just refer to that one as. Now, once you make those interfaces as inline, still the traffic will not be allowed until and unless you create a policy saying that the certain traffic should be allowed. Once you allow the traffic, then only they are able to communicate with each other in this way. There are a lot of things which are participating in between, but you can do this configuration, and we do have this configuration in the later classes. All right, so let's come back to the FTDs. Now you can see that there are so many things, and I have been updated. You see that policy has been applied, whatever the things, everything has been applied. So now my FTDs are up and running. So you still see that it's an exclamatory mark. So if I go back to notification, click on help, this is where the exclamatory marks. So now these are, don't worry about this one. It's a time synchronization and all those things, but in the organization, you have to make sure that time synchronization is done. Cisco intelligence field download has been failed because this is a new FTDs. I did not configure any IP addresses, nothing. So my FTDs currently doesn't have any access to the internet right now. Another thing is that HA status, peer management center devices registers, fewer devices registered, don't worry about it. AMP networks, I did not even connect the AMP right now, so that's why it is showing you these errors. Apart from that, everything has been successfully applied. So this was your integration of FTDs with the FMC.
So why is showing the red icon is because of those issues?
Yes. If you resolve those issues, it will remove that one.
Okay.
Right. So that was your integration of FTDs with the FMC.